Welcome back to the Self-Esteem and Confidence Mindset podcast with me, Johnny Pardo. Today, I have a special guest on the episode with me, Elisa, where we're going to be talking about self-acceptance, trauma, and finding self-love within ourselves. So welcome, Elisa.
Hello, Johnny. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, I'm so glad you can come on today and give us a lot of value. I know you've got much value to give us, and I know that I've seen of your book how much insight and value the audience will get today. So thank you once again. So I'm just going to give a quick introduction to Elisa, and then we can go into the conversation today. So Elisa is a writer, colorist, and pattern designer. Elisa's memoir, This or Something Better, is an honest accounting of the making of a maker. Her journey to wholeness and joy continues. Wisdom gained through loss and courage shared, and readers learn how nature and tenacity propelled her success. Awesome. Really exciting sounding book there, Elisa. So tell the listeners a little bit more about yourself and what got you into this area where you are now.
I really think, my earliest memory is being alone for some obscure reason, at maybe under a year and a half old, on a little trail outside my house. I just saw my shoes moving on the earth, and I realized those are my shoes. I'm here. I am me. And I reached my arms up and I'm looking up and I see these, I lived in the country. So these beautiful trees were moving in the wind. And I wanted to say, I'm here. I just wanted to greet the world, but I had no words. I was too little to talk. So I just looked up, and then these birds flew and the trees waved. And I was like, I'm here. I'm really here. It was so beautiful. And this very early image totally sheltered me through so many difficult times for the next 5 years. My grandmother must have been mentally disturbed. Anyway, she insisted that I was a murderer and used to scrub me and call me a murderer when no one was home. This was painful, and difficult, but also I was abused by her husband, who was my step-grandfather. And perhaps there was some strange interconnection that was causing her to pick up on this strangeness. But in any case, this all was very, very just disconnecting. There was no way that I could feel safe in the human environment. I was totally safe in nature. So to me, the whole thing was like, well, I'm going to go where I know things are good. And I spent much of my time as a child outside in nature. And everything about it was totally instructive, beautiful, lyrical and amazing. Yet the trust deficit that I was created by never bonding with humans was difficult. And as I grew older, I used my courage and tenacity and certainly my love to try to build my own idea of how to be human. I thought, well, there must be I'm missing something. I need to understand this. And by 12, I had written a whole essay on how to be human and what it would be like. And I used all these examples of nature, and that because all things are being. A star is starring, a river is rivering, a tree is treeing. Why can't we just be being, right? This is what we would be doing. And so that seemed perfectly good. But as time passed, many decades, there are things that happen in life amongst humans that are confounding. And I continue to sort of insist that courage and curiosity would lead me everywhere I needed to go. But it wasn't until very recently that I realized that trust was the thing that was missing between myself and other humans. And so my behaviors that propelled me forward in entrepreneurship, et cetera, were great for short-term transactional experiences. I could come to you, I could read you, I'm super intuitive, I could see the room, I could see the building, I could see the decorator, I could see everything. These people at the height of their game, billionaires, one and all. I would make environments for them that they loved. That was fine. I was giving an offering. But what am I doing internally? I'm just staying the same. I'm not changing. I'm not growing. I think I'm growing because I'm moving around. I'm not really growing. And so the reason I was here today is really to share how when you get these intuitive hits and you find things out, how you can follow them and how you can learn and begin to build trust in yourself. And your life will lead you to this place if you begin to trust that you can trust yourself. So this is what I'm sort of hoping to speak on today, Johnny.
Yeah, and it's a great topic to cover when we're in a world of like constant stimulus and all these, people and all this information. Actually, what we do, and it can be quite hard to listen to ourselves, right? With everything going on. So appreciate obviously you sharing your story and what you're here to cover today. So in terms of if someone wanted to build more self-trust within themselves, how would you advise them to start that process?
Well, I've been listening to your other podcasts, and I really agree with the suggestions of all the reading that is really important, and affirmations and looking outside yourself is not something I'm saying not to do. I'm saying while doing it, build a little platform inside yourself of trust. It could be the simplest thing. Like when I was in high anxiety, going through a lot of transition, my business was building too fast, really to keep up with. I had to come up with ideas. Like because I was so stressed, the night before I went to sleep, I put a little, my favorite cup, whichever one that was going to be, it could be any number of them, by the teapot, put the water in the teapot, everything fine there. I was so stressed out. I wake up in the morning and I'd see the teacup and I'd think, oh, that's so nice. Look what I did for myself. It could be that tiny a thing, right? It could be this tiny thing that you do to, acknowledge yourself, and that you're even acknowledging, I need loving care, right? And so I will do this tiny thing that takes 30 seconds. And, in the morning, I will be greeted with this loving symbol. So that's a tiny thing. When I turn to affirmations myself and using Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life, and Shakti Gawain, Creative Visualization, I will say I had lost my fiance in a tragic accident, and I had had a total business reversal, and I couldn't even afford to claim bankruptcy. And I had been soaring, and now I was suddenly here. And I turned to cocaine, okay? And this went on. This probably went on for 4 or 5 years with this cocaine idea that I was coping with this. And really, I was just suppressing everything. And when someone told me when I was trying to buy some hand lotion in this beautiful, sort of hippie place, she said, maybe you would like this book. And it said, You Can Heal Your Life. And I said, do you think my whole life is sick? I was very offended. I was that stressed out. I took the book home, and then I realized this is the end. I can't keep hiding from my pain, my failure. I am not feeling love for myself or any other thing. I have to stop this hiding. And when I do not want to go to a program. I refuse to go to a program. It just seemed like a long way around. So one of my big things in color design and pattern design is you just do not spend the time asking what is wrong with this, okay? Please. You're going to take the longest way around. Just simply say, what is wanted? What is wanted? And in the case of this, horrible time in my life, which was a huge turning point, what I wanted was to reconnect with myself. Stop thinking I had to wear this cloak of cocaine in order to cope. Who go? So I designed this little, ceremony. I untied the cape of cocaine off myself, took this long, deep bath, cried and cried underwater, thinking probably that no one could hear me. I hope they couldn't. And then proceeded to just stay in bed for 3 weeks. And I had bought that book that woman had recommended, You Can Heal Your Life, and the Shakti Gawain book. And when I was awake enough and healed enough by resting to take up these books, I just began to read. And there I went into many of, I am worthy, all these other kinds of very powerful, very short affirmations were hugely helpful. But as time passed and I used those effectively, I realized that there was something sort of missing for me in this, and that I made up this one. I trust myself to take good care of me. Because as an infant and child, as you recall, I wasn't taken care of. It was very painful. And so I didn't have the lessons that I might have modeled from good parenting. And so it was just time for me to parent myself, to love myself, and to trust myself with the power of all these other ideas, which would include, like you were mentioning, psycho-cybernetics. And, there's just so many books that have come up that I have delved into. I'm curious. I'm a curious person. But having the strength of some kind of little toehold of self-love is going to make a huge difference. It could be anything. You could be trying to get ready. Like Johnny, I was trying to get ready for this podcast and I decided to wear this colorful shirt, didn't I? And then when we went, I see you and you have this black shirt and I like to wear black. And I was thinking, why am I wearing this colorful shirt? I want to be with Johnny. So I asked, can I just go change my shirt? And he said, yes. Okay, so these are the things that have to do with self-love. It's just like these tiniest little things. Just be who you are. If you, and listen to yourself. These tiny things that are saying to you, a little bit more kindness, a little bit more water, drink more water, and then when very anxious and concerned, take a minute and just say, I trust myself to take good care of me. And this gives you a foundation. You can stand there and then you can move forward. Most fear, I'm just going to riff off if you don't mind.
No, please.
Most fear, shame, resistance, and anger has the same sort of tone. It shrinks you back. You're going to shrink back. And you're going to be looking, let's say if what you're trying to do is go forward, but there's this threshold. And over the threshold in the new space is the unknown. What really is happening is there's this film of like a veil that hangs between you and the other room, the room of the future. And this veil is it's at the threshold. So when you look through this veil, it is the unknown. You think the whole room and the whole future is filled with the unknown. Well, guess what? It's not. It's not. It's not. And this whole image came to me from this book long ago, Stranger in a Strange Land, some science fiction books, which I love, by Frank Herbert. Okay, so this threshold is my story. When I have new trainees or anything else, and they're trying to try something new and they're feeling afraid, I say, just because it's the unknown, it's okay not to know. And once you decide, gather yourself up and step through the unknown, that veil, you're no longer in the unknown. You're in the new room. Yay. You're still you. You're in the new room. So this idea that you have to be afraid or that your shame is going to weigh you down and it will carry you with you everywhere, or that resistance is going to save you, which it won't, or that anger, is just a place that you want to sit, which you don't probably really. All those things can be fixed and thought of and really reconsidered when you think in terms of the essences within you and the fact that if what you have, the deep well of joy is within you, no matter where you go, everywhere, it's there, waiting to come out, right? So, I really like the analogy, and I use this threshold analogy for others too when I'm doing trainings, mostly about art. And most of my team is women and has been typically women. And all these themes of fear, shame, resistance, and anger are pretty accessible to most women, I think I've found. This is not something that men like to talk about that I've known. And that's why it's really interesting, because you have a lot of people on your show that are men. And I like to hear men talking about these things so much. But the little tricks that you come up with are sort of like what I come up with on the job site when I'm trying to design a color or something, or when I'm working with a client that's really, really difficult to get connected with. You just have to come up with different kind of tricks. So for anger, I found, and it's in the book, my memoir, if I have this, I have a curtain pole in my studio, because we do some decorative painting on curtain poles, patterning and stuff. I pick up the curtain pole and I have a box, let's just say there's an empty box, and I beat the hell out of that empty box. If I'm pissed off, that's okay. It's okay to be pissed off. I'm going to beat the hell out of this thing and I'm going to get that out. I don't need to go in myself and talk about why I'm angry. I don't care why. What is wrong? What's wrong with it is not the question. What do I want? I want to beat something up. I'll beat up this cardboard box till it's just flat. And then I just laugh and I dance around because I'm done. I'm not being angry anymore. So good. And I've had people out on the trail when we're going on hiking, and they're telling me over and over the same story. I'm like, here's a story. I'm so tired of your story. Here, take this stick, beat this log. This log says it's okay. You can beat it. And they're like, and they feel better. So, look inside yourself. You're going to have these answers too. I mean, yes, I'm an intuitive and I'm a creative. So you're going to hear all this sort of arty stuff from me because this is my world. This is where I live. Those who are more cerebral will give you those other pictures of other ideas, which are also highly valuable. So I'm hoping I'm helping. I'd like to be reassuring.
Absolutely. I loved what you said about not suppressing the emotions and actually allowing them to surface in the appropriate ways, of course, like, whether it's beating something up with a stick or whatever, better that than the person, obviously. So, getting those emotions out. But what I also like,
found that most of the time, most of the time when I thought I was angry at somebody, I was angry at myself. Just got to say. So it's better to take it out of a box than go and misdirect it on somebody who made you see something about yourself you didn't like. Okay.
And I also was about to say, I like what you said about doing these small acts of building that relationship with ourselves, that self-trust. Whether it's putting something nice on, like you put on your black top, obviously, or giving yourself some kind of care for the next day. So I like that in terms of starting small, which kind of leads me on to something which links to what you're talking about being with yourself and the emotion experiencing them, is kind of sitting with yourself in silence, giving yourself that time, or perhaps even if it's a short amount of time, something you've been doing quite regularly or encourage other people to do?
Yes, I actually did do a 8-week mindfulness meditation course in Scottsdale. I was working in Scottsdale all day during the day, but at night we had this great course. I loved it. And I really appreciate these very kind of long and more involved meditations that they had. Sometimes it just drives me crazy because it's the body scan. It takes forever. Seems like that's not my thing. So there's this other one that I just happened to hear on NPR that I love, which is like a nano moment. You can take 5 seconds or 10 seconds. You can build a whole 20-minute thing out of little 5 nano meditations. So if you just let yourself lift up in traffic or wherever you are and go, oh, okay. And then just feel yourself breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Okay. Keep doing that. Do that every once in a while. And it's nice. It doesn't have to be some perfect thing in the perfect place with a perfect blanket and sitting in the perfect way, with the right little chime going or something, no. Not for me. I like picking it up. And I do a lot of walking meditation. I have a 12-mile hike that is very arduous at the beginning, and then it's a long, slow ascent, and then I'm halfway. And it's amazing because I live on a mountain. And so it's just like a fairy tale trail, the whole thing. and then I come back. So this is really nice. I mean, I have all my trees and all my friends of nature that I greet, and that's helpful. I think the other thing that I did learn from the mindfulness course, which is really very fun, and I just did it today. When you're taking a shower, for example, I'm sure you've heard this, just let yourself feel the water hitting you. I mean, it's just like it's a total, symphony of fun, if you just will just be present, right? And then again, there's another, like, it could be a 30-second, 60-second bliss out. And it's not about what you're going to do, what you should have done, what you wish you hadn't done. It's none of those things are there, right? You're just in your body, feeling it. Be happy.
Just being, not doing. Awesome.
Yeah.
I like the hiking as well. You mentioned, or kind of the walking in nature and connecting to your friends, as you said, the trees, and your friends are trees and things like that. So, I mean, Nate, I wanted to hear a little bit more about the nature actually, and is that and that's something you said you've been regularly doing, like since a young age, really, just being out in nature and being.
Yeah, most definitely. The book talks about experiences I had beside this river, the South Fork of the American, where gold was discovered, and that's where I was raised, 7 miles upriver from the California gold rush. And so there was no houses or anything, and that's where I just would see things and learn things so amazing. And I could go into that, but it would take a little bit of time to tell these little stories. So I would just have to say that from that time forward, when I was living and changing and growing and, going through relationship crises and raising my son alone and that kind of thing, and living in cities, I realized I needed to find a tree wherever I might be living, my tree. And then I always have thought that when you put your chest against the tree, the tree can feel your heartbeat, and then you will get answers, or you will get soothing from the tree. The tree's been there, this silent witness of everything all this time. And if you bring yourself to it and surrender to this witnessing, there will be lessons you can gain. So that's for deep personal pain. I would use the tree. And then I would also try to pour good feeling and appreciation back into the tree. And then with the hiking and just walking in nature, when I have a deep problem with a pattern or a color or some way of doing something or communicating with a client, I will go out looking for signs. So the signs would be, sometimes it'll be silly. So it'll be a leaf that absolutely, for some obscure reason, is two absolute broken in the center, two absolutely different colors. And all of a sudden I'll see that and I'll go, there's no reason why I can't use both colors. Why is it, this leaf is telling me, stop trying to pick one or the other, use both. And then I just come back home and I call the decorator and say, we have to use both colors. And they say, oh, that's wonderful. We're done, right? It's just, it's like not so much, if I set out saying, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to do, I need help, I don't know what to do. It's a story, it's an affirmation, and it will not give you as much back as if you say, I'm looking for a sign of what will be a good answer. I'm looking, I'm awake, I'm open, I will receive. This is just how you can relate to nature. Nature is just such a funny little word. It means so many different things to different people. And I've had beautiful, fantastic decorative artists that come to work with me from the Ukraine, from South Africa, from Paris. But in many cases, they have lived in a big city and they're not comfortable in nature. And, they're just like kind of terrified. Why is it so dark? There's no lights at night. There's all these different things. So when I'm talking to this broad audience, I don't know what you think of or feel for nature, but it could be a plant in your apartment, okay? And in fact, just have to say, when I was working in Scottsdale, we were there for months, and we were living in a residence inn. I had 10 women, and we were working every day, 6 days a week. And we were recreating this interior of a brand new French chateau that even had a moat in the desert in Scottsdale. Okay, so it was arduous work for a strange reason, in my opinion. But there we were. And in my room was a little cactus. And every day I would talk to the cactus and everything. And one day I had some of my team was over and we were just talking, and they saw me take a little bit of water and put it on the cactus. And they said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Oh, well, don't worry. I don't water this cactus very often, just every 3 weeks." And they said, "Elisa, that is not a real cactus. That is a fake cactus." I'm like, "No." So I start crying because I thought I had a little plant with me all this time, right? And it was not even real. Okay, so
No.
I'm very addicted and attached to nature. Okay, I'll find something good that makes me happy somewhere, somehow. Anyway.
Shame about that cactus, but yeah, I'm sure your next plant is real. But I
have a lot of plants here.
I do really like what you were saying about like hugging a tree and putting your chest to the tree and it kind of soothing you, which is a great one. I mean, I live in a city in central Bristol, a city in England, but fortunately there's kind of like a harbour side and a nice woods near us, so that's always quite a good place to go and unwind a little bit sometimes when you just you've got your busy day-to-day life and you're in the middle of like all these buildings, but actually going out there, and then ideally not checking your phone and things like that. So definitely soothing. I know we all have different relationships with nature, but thank you for sharing yours. That's some great insights and a couple of things I want to try. In fact, I want to get some new plants. I haven't had any plants for a while.
Yeah.
Awesome. So
that's nice. Well, the neurotransmission. Oh, sorry, I'm done.
No, carry on.
Well, the neurotransmission of fabulous energy is coming from this oxygenation that you get out in the natural world. And when you're in, and it also has been proven that fountains, for example, release the negative ions, the water crashing, even if you're by the water where it's really rushing, and it's fantastic for your brain and your internal sense of self and sense of well-being. So it's just a primitive response to, here we are, we're quite removed from the primitive beginnings of our species. So I think it's healthy.
Totally. And there's definitely various sciences around it as well in the nature, the support of us. So definitely be sure. I want to go for my next walk now, even though it's very dark over here. So I want to get into that woods again. One thing I wanted to sort of like cover a little bit more is obviously you were very open, kind of like sharing your own experience with trauma in your life, and kind of therefore you built your relationship over time with yourself over time, and obviously there's been various experiences in your life. So for anyone, obviously we've all got different, it's different for everyone in terms of what we've been through and our experiences. But for anyone out there with trauma or kind of going through it, where would you, if they were perhaps in a state of they're really struggling, where would you suggest for them to start off with on this kind of self-acceptance and healing journey?
I found for me, and I've used this with any number of people in different circumstances who come to me asking for help, the 3 words, I am worthy. What's really interesting about it is if you say it out loud in the mirror to yourself, looking in the mirror, sometimes I found when I first tried to do it, it was a question. I didn't say I am worthy. I said I am worthy. It took me probably 25 times to make it even start to sound like I believed it. So I think that would give a little, I mean, I'm sure many people have heard of this already. It's not new, but it is a way to start to create a little channel to get to your deeper self that is waiting there. So I would suggest that because it's very simple and it's not that hard to remember. It's only 3 words. And then you will learn something, about how you're feeling about yourself. When you're in the really high anxiety and those kinds of things, I think it's very, very key to, if possible, reach out for help. If there's someone that that you can be honest with, that you could find any trust with, it may be a very good thing to share your struggle. But this is all, challenging for many people. So truly, I would look for signs if it were me. And again, I'm super intuitive. So I would look for signs, and if something seemed to point me in a direction, if it's just like, if you hear a song and it makes you cry, you can think about why that is making you cry and look toward healing that part of you that's hurting, and there's just so many things that I could talk about. There's a full spectrum of ways to feel disconnected. And so the real answer is, how will I feel safe? And how will I, at the same time, be able to remain somehow free? And this is the big question, is everyone's seeking freedom and safety. But and you can confirm your bias either way at all kinds of times. But what we really are trying to find and come to is that these may not exist simultaneously in your idea of what they are. There's nothing wrong with choosing to be safe and choosing to be free. But what might be underlying this desire is the desire to be connected internally to your own essence. Because those times when you feel most joyfully yourself, this is where you can be your whole self. And so just believing that your whole self is inside, waiting for you to get that path clear, is probably the best advice I can give. There's a deep well of joy within you.
And like what you referred back to on the intuitive side again, actually look at what gives you that joy. But at the same, on the other end as well, why something emotionally getting to you, like a song that you mentioned, perhaps it triggers you off. Actually exploring that a little bit. But like what you, thanks for sharing as well. When you started saying I'm worthy, it was a challenge at first, and it can be when you're kind of introducing something. So some great words there. But
we can feel awkward. And it's easy to feel awkward when you try something new. But that's part of this little kind of built-in resistance. It's really not everything is going to be okay if you will. You must accept, if you're in pain, that there's things have transpired and now you're in this place. That is okay. Dwelling on the pain perhaps is not the way to find your way out. More looking and accepting that you have come to this place, and choosing to look for options that will lead you out. And you blame, shame, guilt, regret, anger, these are part of the package of coming to a difficult time. It's part of the package, but that's not the whole you. It's a huge topic, Johnny. I don't know. I feel kind of awkward trying to help when I'm not sure what the exact issue might be and who the listener is. So I want to just say, I'm bringing a loving intention to this, and hey, I have days when I'm raging bitch. Okay, I'm not just little miss, totally awesomeness. And if my husband was here, he'd be like in the background going, "That's not true." I mean, because so. I'm not trying to instill in people the idea that they get to some place of everlasting peace. No, I think you just want mojo. You want to know you have access to your true self and be your authentic whole self and go out there. That's it. That's my thing.
Yeah, and I'm really glad you brought that up in terms of, we want to feel awesome all the time, but I think I had a question reach out recently. Well, I have had a question recently reach out on that about what are your goals, and I think it's either someone joining my group or just a general like, how do I feel amazing all the time? And so I've made some content recently on that, and the answer was you can't. It's we're all human beings. We can train ourselves and get to a place where we want to have, we're in a good place most of the time, but we can't even account for what might come in, the challenges we come. And again, we're all human beings. So I'm I'm really pleased to hear you're also acknowledging that idea that it's about accepting some days are going to be more challenging than others. And what you just shared there about your husband might sometimes see you as it's amazing and loving, but then sometimes it's a challenging day for you, and you're more likely to get annoyed at things. And same with me as well. I get can get a bit overworked and I have to take a step back sometimes, but other days I'm like, I love life. So yeah, thank you for sharing that with us as well. I appreciate that. That's awesome. So Elisa, as we kind of conversation's flown by at the time, but are there perhaps any final points or point that you'd like to share with us that perhaps we've not covered today?
I'm looking at my list. I'm thinking, oh, I like this. Here's a longer affirmation that I think is great. People might want to get a pen because it's not very short. Mm-hmm. I lovingly release the past and step forward into this new day. I'll say it again. I lovingly release the past and step forward into this new day. Sometimes on my walking meditation, I use this because it gives you this, sense of a fresh start. Yay, fresh start is a good thing, right? We like. And so it really gives you a little bit of an opening again. And I think that's huge. I'm not quite sure what else I would want to share. The story of being alone in nature in a very sort of rural place, and then becoming renowned within a certain realm for my ability to intuit a beautiful pattern and design and color and formulate them, and then have it all be applied and have everybody love it, and then have it be in every magazine and all that. That's just an example of how when you climb the ladder towards success and you use modeling of when you see people that you wish you were like, this is a sign, okay? This is what I mean by sign. You don't need to be envious. I mean, of course, you'll get a little ping of envy, right? And then you'll say, wait, I'm feeling something. There's something about them that I would like to model. How would I do that? Am I that person? Is that whole for me? Or, can I do that? And what pieces can I borrow from what I'm seeing that I would prefer that I was embodying, and you just try to do that. And this is how you move forward. It's really I'm sure as a coach, you understand that same thing. It's modeling and the anxiety that one has around someone that you feel might be so-called better than you. They're just showing you something, and you're showing yourself something by being anxious about it. That you could improve, you could open, you could grow.
It's kind of a guidance in a way. And yeah, big fan of modeling as well, role modeling, to kind of, we can always learn from each other. So yeah, very important point. So thank you for sharing that Lisa. So I appreciate you for coming on today and giving us such incredible tips and ways we can start to think about connecting with ourselves and accepting ourselves, building that relationship with ourselves. even when we're going through challenging events, or we've had traumatic events, which many of us are. In fact, most of us have gone through some degree of trauma at some point, but thank you for sharing your own experiences on that. I appreciate that. But where can people find you, or some more of your work if they'd like to?
Yeah, you can, on my website, there's a, it's just my name, Elisa, Elisa, Stancil, Levine, Levine, .com. And that has my, it's about the book, and also my blog, and also has a link to my actual work in the design world. And you can even read the first chapter of the book. You can pre-order the book. And I would love you to check out what's there. I love my website. It's beautiful. So I would love you to go there. One of the stories is one of the essays that was recently published in a literary magazine is Echoes of Essence. And these kinds of things, these writings, I think would be very kind of soothing and reassuring and perhaps inspiring to any of you that are interested in, touching your inner self.
Fantastic. Some very valuable resources from yourself. So we'll be sure to link those in the description, so people can find more from you to really help them. So once again, Elisa, appreciate you coming on. So thank you very much.
I'm thrilled to be here. I'm so glad that we got connected, and I subscribed. I really like your podcast, Johnny. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you saying that. So that concludes our episode for today. But remember, work on your self-confidence every single day.